Today we're going to answer the question, when does a child get to decide which parent the child lives with? There's a myth that you constantly hear that at age 12 a child gets to decide, and that is simply not true. Technically, a child doesn't get to decide which parent they live with until they turn 18, and then as adult they're free to decide. But the closer a child gets to age 18, the more everyone, the judge, lawyers, and parents have to listen to the child. It used to be the law in Texas that we had children sign pieces of paper saying which parent they wanted to live with, but we do not do that anymore. Now the law says that beginning at age 12, a child has to be interviewed by the judge if either parent asks for it. A judge can interview a child under age 12, but doesn't have to. If a judge is asked to interview the child, it's done privately in the judge's office without the parents present, usually with no lawyers there, and usually without a court reporter. It's just the nice judge and the kid talking about life and what they do at mom's house and dad's house and what class they like. We all know that, say at age 14 or 15, kids want to do things and we tell them, hell no, you're not going to do that. We don't let young teenagers make big life decisions. We don't sometimes let them decide what party they're going to go to or what clothes they wear. So just because a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old says they want to live with mom instead of dad or vice versa, that doesn't mean the judge is going to listen to them. The question is, what's best for the child? The judge can take into account what a child wants, but there are plenty of times when what the child wants does not make sense or is not good for the kid. If a child wants to live with a parent who has loose discipline, who doesn't make them go to sleep at a set time, lets them play their PlayStation all night, lets girls have boyfriends in their room, doesn't care what they wear to school, doesn't make them do homework, if a judge figures that out, the judge is not going to let that kid move. If things are unhealthy or dangerous at a parent's house, the judge is not going to let the kid move there no matter what the kid wants. However, the older the child and the more smart and mature and successful the child is, the more a judge is going to listen to the child. If a 13-year-old boy is doing poorly in school and skipping class, and you can tell is just doesn't have his act together, a judge is going to not listen to that kid near as much as they would an honor student who excels at extracurricular activities, who seems to be a model student and has good mature reasons why they want to switch and live with the other parent. If there is a hearing or a trial where the judge has been asked to interview the child, do not bring the child to court. The lawyers and the judge will decide when and where that will happen. So leave the kid at home, go to court with your lawyer, and then you will be told how the child will be brought to court. The only exception is in Galveston County for the associate judge at temporary orders. The child is expected to be somewhere near the courthouse so the judge can meet with them that morning or that afternoon. If your child is going to be interviewed, don't tell them what to say to the judge. Don't have them write out a letter to the judge. Just tell them to relax and be honest, and the judge is going to be very friendly and nice, and the judge is not going to tell mom or dad what you say. That's really all you can tell your child if they're going to be interviewed. If your case at final trial involves a jury trial, and most don't, if you have a jury trial, then the child will not be interviewed by the jury. In some cases, we can use the child's counselor to get in front of the judge what the child wants. Sometimes an amicus attorney has been appointed by the court to represent the interests of the child, and that lawyer who looks after the interests of the kid will get in front of the judge what the child wants. But if either parent insists on an interview of a child 12 and over, then it's going to happen. But remember, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, even 15 or 16-year-olds don't get to decide everything. What they want is just a factor for the judge to consider, but the older they get, the more we all have to listen to them. The real hard advice that I have to give parents is there are times, as painful as it is, that it may be the best thing to let your child try living with the other parent. You have to consider your kid's happiness, not just what you want, and not just getting or paying child support. You also have to consider the long-term relationship you want to have with your child. If your 16-year-old is going to hate your guts for the rest of his life because you would not let him live with dad, you got to consider what's it going to be like when they go off to college or get married or have a baby. So it isn't just what a judge would do. A lot of it has to do with what you as a parent think is the best thing, not just for the kid, but the best thing for your long-term relationship with the child.